I did say I had a better pick for the witch movie, and I think Black Sunday certainly fills that category. This this is a movie about this woman who was tried as a witch, and just before she died, she had condemned her brother and his entire family. And now a long period of time has passed, and people have, well, they haven't forgotten about it, but they haven't been afraid enough to really maintain the coffin that she was put in. And of course, there are some idiots that are curious and decide they're going to go around and stumble across this thing and disturb what should never have been touched and they had no right to be around, and unleash this terrible woman upon the world yet again. Hey, hey, hey. I say that, but actually I do like this movie. I'd get annoyed when that trope of people who just go around and fuck shit up because they're there and they're clumsy or they just don't care. But I kind of appreciate a few things about this, like that it is a very schlocky movie that combines aspects of vampire movies and witch movies. There's even a point where they knock over the pipes from a pipe organ, and yeah, I kind of appreciate that they didn't quite have the organ music, though. I don't know if that would be good or bad. It would depend on the tune they play. Maybe it did need that. I don't know. I don't know. We didn't get that, though. Yeah, there is a bit of an issue, though, with some of these older films. I think up until the 1970s, a lot of these vampire movies, especially from back in Lugosi's era, sometime between the 20s and the 70s, there was a lot of melodrama that went on with these, and that was just part of the movie. It was. I don't know if it was a stylistic choice, but I know that quite a few do have that, and it's kind of blunt, to be honest. And so is the romance in here. It is so forced, it's ridiculous. But it's not as bad as some of the movies I've watched for this challenge. Don't get me wrong about that. This was actually one of the better ones. The there are some consistency problems towards the end of the film, or we're at almost the end of the film. But other than that, those three problems that I mentioned are not tremendous issues, especially since, like I said, this is the whole romance and melodrama. That's kind of the style they went for. So, I mean, I don't like it that much, but I'm not going to be very harsh about it. And there's a lot of good positive things to talk about in this, like the cinematography and music being really good. It felt like it was trying to emulate some of those earlier movies with Lugosi, and I appreciate that because there was a certain style that those older films had that really you don't see very much anymore. They've kind of gone out of phase, but I like movies that try to hold on to that in later decades. There was a surprising variety of really good effects, and that's something that I know that people would just lump everything into either CGI or practical, but practical has got so many different things that can be done in so many different ways. Just saying that they're practical effects doesn't quite do it in this case, because there's effects that are done with face paint and the changing of the lens color, which you wouldn't notice because it's black and white, but I know this technique because it was done in one of the more famous examples of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde had used that technique, where you film a black and white film with a red lens and someone's got on red face paint, and then you change the lens color from red to blue, and all of a sudden that makeup just springs to life. And that kind of transition effect is used here, and it's used in only a handful of other films that I can remember. And it was really effective at the time and still holds up. Um, I would say I like the feel of it. The fact that they've got an old castle and they've got these hidden corridors. They've got the crypt that connects to the castle. They've got these really old rooms that have got all of the different decorations you'd expect from a schlocky movie. That's really nice. And, any excuse to see a movie with Karen Black is. No, this was Barbara Steele. What the hell am I thinking? Barbara Steele. She kind of became one of my more favorite actors in horror for the 60s and 70s because there's a certain presence she has about her, and she really knows how to deliver. There's a lot of actresses that are just kind of there and trying, but Barbara Steele really does it well. She really has this. I'm trying to think of the right way of looking at it. She can play a number of different roles, and in this case, she can play multiple roles in the same movie, and they come off as fairly authentic. But there's just this certain look that she has. It's kind of like the same thing that Jack Nicholson has. He's got that kind of look that he can give, and I don't think anyone else can replicate it. I think Barbara Steele's got one of those. It's in the way that she glares at the camera or at other actors, and the way that she speaks and emphasizes certain things. I like that about her. So, wrapping this up, there are problems, but I'll give leeway because they're stylistic, and to be honest, this was a pretty nice watch considering some of the other films I've seen. I give it a 7 out of 10. I see areas where it could have been improved, but overall it was a good watch. And as far as the 31-day challenge goes, even though I don't have this as the Witch movie, I am going to take off the last of the countries because this was done in Italy. Even though it's got English-speaking actors, it was made in Italy, so it's an Italian film. So I'll take advantage of that. And next up is one of my favorite parodies of all time. So I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.